Proceed.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the April 15th Tax Day BOCC meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First thing off are our minutes, and I think we have two of them. Gentlemen, do we have any additions or corrections on either one?
I do not.
Okay.
I move to approve the proceedings of Board of County Commissioners for a special meeting on April 7th, 2025, and for the regular Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 meeting of the Montezuma County Board of Commissioners as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for April 8th, 2025, and a special meeting for April 7th, 2025. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next up. Planning. Come on down.
Morning.
Are they on
They are on Zoom.
Or?
Yes,
was,
Mr.
but then he got
Carver
off.
from Maverick is on Zoom.
You got off.
He was till Travis
I'll
kicked
wait.
him off.
I'll wait till they all get on there before I ask for the roll to be read.
I do have another item I guess we could briefly discuss.
Sure, let's go ahead while we're waiting.
So on the construction realignment of County Road 25 to 184, the county is getting a couple of acres from the landowner. So can we just do that as a boundary line adjustment, even though we're not creating another parcel? I guess this is more of a Stephen question. So it's going to amend the existing property owner's land, but it's not creating a new parcel.
Yeah.
It's just going to the
It's just
county as
shrinking
a
it
right of way.
As the road right away. It seemed
So I don't know if it's a
straightforward to
boundary
me.
line adjustment's probably the best approach, or
It's compliant with the
A
land use code because
resolution?
all we're doing is expanding the right of way and diminishing his.
right, and it's not taking his property below 3
No.
acres or anything.
No, it's still plenty adequate.
Sounds like it to me, based on what you're telling me, but, yeah, I'd just like to look at it and just make sure it's all above board.
Right. Yeah, we can just run it through as a boundary line adjustment from the owner to the county and do the plat. Can also have the quick claim deed language on it and just have it all in one document that way, if that's all right.
You got everybody, Travis? Yes, sir. Okay, sounds like we're good there, Don, so we're going to move on. So this being the time set aside for a public hearing for Yesco LLC, would you call the roll, please, Kim?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney Tarnowski.
Here,
Kim Purcell, County Clerk. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed amendment application to high impact permit number HIP-09-2023, submitted by Yesco LLC, agent for HD Cortez LLC and Maverik Inc., located at 7255 Highway 160/491, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 10.60 acres more or less, located west of Highway 160/491, north of Road G, situated in Section 4, Township 35 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 18th day of March, 2025, Kim Purcell Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025.
All right, thank you, Kim. All right, Don, give us an overview here, and then I'll give it to Clint's iPhone.
Okay. N.M.P.M Maverik is the current owner of the property. It's changed hands a couple of times, but now they are the owners. Clint Garver is with Maverik, and he's on Zoom. So they are amending their high impact permit to include this pylon sign. They ran the application through the FAA to find out what their maximum height limit was, being that it's in the flight pattern and it's also a lighted sign. FAA came back at 46 feet, so they're requesting to amend their high impact permit to include this sign at 46 feet, which is 11 feet higher than the threshold standard in the land use code for commercial property. We don't really have a sign. Signs aren't identified specifically in the land use code, but it says structures, so we just use that as a structure. Other than we don't require the setback because it's just a pole. It's not a monument sign. Mm-hmm. Monument signs would be required to meet the minimum setback, but this is just to get permitted for a 46-foot high sign as opposed to 35.
So we're not changing the size of the sign, just the height?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's going to the maximum of the FAA
Correct.
standards, because
Yeah.
that's kind of a little lower spot. Okay.
Right. And being a lighted sign makes a difference too.
Mm-hmm.
Cell towers can be 100 feet without lights, but that one they have their limit at 46 feet.
And it is compliant with the FAA? Everything, okay. Anything else, and I'll ask for Mr. Carver. All right, Mr. Carver, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think everything's been shared. We do have a copy of the FAA letter. I believe somebody just tried to call me right as the meeting was starting. I apologize if I missed that call. We can send a copy of the letter over for you to have. In regards to the height, actually, I take it back. I do have a comment. You asked if I had a comment. I said no. I apologize. In regards to the height, our original scope on this sign was to have two pole signs on our site. And if this sign continues to progress and move forward, we will consolidate to one sign, just so everybody is aware of that plan. We feel like the height is adequate to allow trucks enough time to correctly slow, safely and correctly make the right traffic decisions. In our last meeting, we did hear some complaints of some of our construction trucks, and the braking noise was substantial, which was actually a really good test to show us that having a taller sign would allow trucks more adequate time to slow down and make correct decisions. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions before I open this up for public comment? Okay.
Have we allowed other signs to be that high?
Yes, the previous M&M sign was at 50 feet, and the Love's sign is currently at 50 feet on the corner of G and 491.
This, because it's in the flight pattern, can't go over the 46.
46.
So it's a little bit lower because it's actually moved over to the west, which is actually right in the flight pattern.
That's all I have. I just
Okay. All right, well then, I will open this application up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board at this time.
Hello, my name is Garrett Backstrom. Neighbors to the west and the south, and I'm really not concerned about the sign. And I just trying to take this opportunity to figure out who we need to talk to about the water issue. That, I don't know, you guys aware of that? All the water down there that gets drained onto us. My dad was not able to be here. And if I could just get some contact information for, I don't know if it's Mr. Carver or who we need to talk to, because I haven't seen any plans as of what they're gonna do about it, if there is any plan, or they're just
Okay.
gonna keep flooding us out.
Okay, so this is a public comment for just this application
Right,
that's in
and I
front
don't
of us,
wanna
so.
waste anybody's time.
Yeah, yeah,
so-
so I think Mr. Carver is on the line. You can also get with Mr. Haley, and I think that that would then get you the contact information that you need to have.
Okay,
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Yep. Next.
This doesn't have anything to do with the signage.
That's all we
Then
can-
this is the public comment for the sign. That's all we're doing right now is for this application
We'll have regular
We'll have a-
public comment in a little bit.
in just a minute.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Again, this is the public comment for just the application of Maverik or Yesco LLC. O- Okay,
I gave you too much on that.
Keep away everything.
all right. Seeing no further comment, I'll close the public comment session of this application and bring it back to the board. Gentlemen, questions, comments, or concerns? Or Stephen? Go ahead.
For my piece, I would just say, essentially, this is like an amended high-impact permit application is how this is before the board. So the regular findings of fact and decision criteria for high-impact permits would apply that the proposed use is in conformity with the code, that the proposed use shall not generate any significant adverse impacts on other property and is consistent with the code, and that public utilities and services are available or can be made available to support uses consistent with the proposed zoning. If the applicant fails to meet these decision criteria, the permit shall be approved with conditions, ensuring compliance with the decision criteria, or it shall be denied. And on that issue, I would just have a specific recommendation for the board that if the board does approve the high impact permit with these amendments, I would just make the recommendation that it's conditioned upon the submittal of that letter from the FAA, because it sounds like that's a specific concern, and I would just want that, the best information available to be part of the record on that issue.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Okay.
I would so move we approve, conditioned upon the letter from the FAA, the proposed amendment application to high-impact permit number 09-2023, submitted by Yesco LLC, agent for HD Cortez LLC and Maverik Incorporated, located at 7255 Highway 160, 491, Cortez.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed amendment application of the high impact permit number 09-2023 submitted by Yesco LLC, agent for the HD Cortez LLC and Maverik Incorporated, located at 7255 Highway 160/491 Cortez, Colorado, with the addendum of the letter sent by the FAA. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you are approved, sir.
Thank you so much.
And this public hearing is closed. All right, Don, anything else?
Nope, that'll take care of it.
I would say on the previous question, just get with Stephen, but it sounds like we are in alignment and we are following the land use code, so I think we should probably be okay.
I do have a question. Concerns me that most of those county roads, we do not own that road. We have that right of way, but we don't own that ground. If we abandon that road, that ground goes back to that landowner, whoever owned that land before. The county doesn't own most of those right of ways. That concerns me about you doing a boundary line adjustment. Okay, I don't know if
I
that's,
thought we do own the right-of-ways, the easements we don't actually own, it's just an easement. This is an actual right-of-way. Correct, Stephen, is that?
I'm not
There's a lot
prepared
of
to,
confusion on
to
I
answer
don't
that.
think we do.
but what I take your concern, Commissioner Copenhaver, is, you know, depending on how we're moving the road, should some of this, if the county's taking away some property from this property owner, should some potentially be returned? That's kind of how I understand your question. So we'll look at that together. Just make sure that, you know, whatever we're doing is the right way to handle that adjustment of that road.
Because
That
we're
is
actually
that is a good point,
purchasing.
because I don't know who owned it before, if
Well,
it
and
is
that's
just
the
a
thing,
right of way,
do
or,
we actually, I mean, I realize we have that right of way, but that doesn't mean you actually own the land.
But that's not true, because we're actually purchasing this land.
I'm not talking about that land. I'm talking about you're doing a boundary line adjustment
You can't-
between land that you don't actually, we have a right of way on, but that doesn't mean we own it.
you can't increase land that you
Yeah,
don't
yeah, no,
own.
I get that, but we're
So-
not giving up anything on the other side of that though, right?
No, but we may have to do it as an exemption, so that we
Okay.
create a 2-acre tract,
I
or
gotcha.
whatever it
I would-
is,
I would
that
think that's what
actually
we
is
had to
owned
do.
by the
That's a-
county.
Okay,
That's what I
That's a
think
good
we
point.
should be doing, rather than a boundary line deal, because
No, that makes sense, to create the
The
county-owned
tract.
tract
yes.
that then would encompass the easement of the road.
okay, that's now all legal.
And I'll need to run that down. I don't know the answer to
Yeah,
how we've
because
done that historically.
I don't know, because there's a wide easement in there, but I think that may be a CDOT easement northwest of 25 as opposed to county, so. County's got some weird little triangle pieces that we own at random parts of 184, but I think Gerald's right that
That
we
own
probably
or
don't own that land right there.
Okay, anyway, get with Stephen, make sure that it's the right
Perfect.
way to do it, and then we'll go on.
Glad I brought it up. More to look at.
Just get it right.
Thank
That's
you.
all I got.
Okay,
All right,
very good,
thank you.
All right, next up is our public comment session of this meeting. So the Board of Montezuma County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all the members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments. Comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. And with that, the public comment session is open.
Good morning. John Durbin, 3961 Highway 160 South. Folks, I'm not against Maverik. It's already been built and it's up and almost running. but I am concerned about CDOT. I went to the P&Z meeting a couple weeks ago. They had no clue on what CDOT's doing, which I don't know, but I called CDOT like they recommended it, and I knew I had to call them, Durango. They had no clue. So what's the deal on CDOT? You know, we need some answers down there. They've got to put in some deceleration lanes, turn lanes. You know, worried about a signage. You know, trucks stop, and if they stop like they're going to stop without deceleration lanes and that, it's going to be a mess down there. It's already got that liquor store down there, pawn shop on G2, which should have had deceleration lanes back then. But I heard that that was grandfathered, and now we're going to have a meat packing facility north of there. It's going to be a mess. I don't know what you guys can do, but CDOT has not helped south of town. I know they put all their money elsewhere, but south of town needs some love. That's it, you guys.
Okay.
Do what you can. Get on CDOT because it ain't right. Thank you.
Thank you. If you stick around after this, I'll answer your question.
Who's that?
You, sir?
You will?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Next. Thank you.
David Robeson, 15329 County Road 31, Mancus. And I appear before you today to plead the cause of liberty. And as you know, our state legislature and our government have gone completely insane and have violated our civil rights. They're taking control of our children in our schools and turning them against their parents and into little Nazi youth. Also, they have violated our Second Amendment right. And that's my cause today, is I would ask that you revisit and reaffirm the previous resolution that Montezuma County is a Second Amendment sanctuary. And maybe this time you can convince our sheriff to sign on to that resolution and side with the people that elected him instead of the tyrants in Denver, Colorado. I'm ready to, and I realize this is an unreasonable and illegal request, but I'm ready to secede from the state of Colorado and form our own state of the union, become the 51st state, because they have gone completely fascist, and I'm tired of it. And I'd like you guys to do that. I'm just requesting it. I'm not demanding anything, but I don't think I'm alone in, I think I'm a part of a larger group of people in the county that also believe that this needs to be done. Other counties have done the same thing. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Kim. My name is Alan Mays, 21693 County Road 21. Had a short conversation with the previous person, and I do agree that our Second Amendment resolution maybe needs a little uptick, but if we can stand strong with our Constitution, that's a good idea. I'm here more, last week we had the discussion on a moratorium for utility projects, large utility projects, and there was a public hearing where the commissioners are a quasi-judicial group, and I'm not sure, I was a little disappointed in how a individual who is a developer for a project was able to speak in front of the commissioners when there were people individuals from the community that were told they couldn't bring up a specific project, yet he was able to speak. I think there was direct comments, even from the county attorney about the group that's doing the development out there. And I do know that they supposedly are in the queue, but that doesn't mean they've been brought before the county or P&Z or county commissioners. And so I do think that those quasi-judicial processes for all need to be looked at. So that was my point, but I do thank the commissioners for looking at that issue of a moratorium, slowing things down. I think it's a very good idea, and I do hope that the research that's done will make sure that the citizens of Montezuma County are heard and the wishes of the people are really paid attention to. So I thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next. All right, seeing no further comment, I'll close the public comment session of this meeting, and I will jump right straight into unfinished business. First off, we have the Public Health Air Quality Monitoring Program contract, which is, after looking this over, I do have the DocuSign, but we also have a hard copy. This is just pretty much standard business. I know it was discussed yesterday in the workshop. Is there anything else on this one, Stephen?
No, I don't have anything.
No, yesterday we kind of discussed just that this is something the county's done in the past. This is a pretty standard, like, amendment or update to that contract, so there weren't any legal issues.
Okay.
I would so move we approve the Public Health Air Quality Monitoring Program contract with the state of Colorado.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the Public Health Air Quality Monitoring Program contract. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next off, we have IGA with the town of Dolores as it concerns the DOLA Affordable Housing Strategy Grant. I see Mr. Dietrich just walked in the room. Is there anything else that you would like to add to this one at all? Okay, this also was presented yesterday, gentlemen. Do we have any question?
No.
Okay.
I move to approve this intergovernmental agreement policy concerning cooperative planning efforts between Montezuma County and the town of Dolores.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept this IGA policy concerning the cooperative planning efforts with the town of Dolores. I got it. And on this, we'll get a corrected copy because it says the town of Mancus. So we'll sign that as soon as you get that and we get this approved. Is there any further discussion? Good catch, Commissioner.
Nope.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Moving right along. We also had a discussion for the Senior Services and Transportation Loan Resolution and the Transfer Fund. This was also talked about, and this would be basically a loan of the $70,000 to the Senior Services to keep MOCO basically functioning at the present time.
Mm-hmm.
I move to approve resolution, what number are we doing? No, resolution number 5-2025, a resolution authorizing a loan from the general fund to the Senior Services and Transportation Fund in the amount of $70,000.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept resolution number 5-2025, resolution authorizing a loan from the general fund to the Senior Services and Transportation Fund in the amount of $70,000. Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
And Commissioner, in conjunction with that, you might want to make a motion to approve Order 7, 2025 for the transfer.
Okay. And then we can, if you want to take that, Commissioner, Order 7.
I so move we approve order number 7-2025 to transfer $70,000 from the general fund to Senior Services and Transportation Fund.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept order number 7, 2025, a transfer of the $70,000 from the general fund to the senior services and transportation fund as a loan detailed in the resolution dated April 14th, 2025, to help resolve a temporary cash flow issue. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, then we also had a resolution that we had discussed last week for the solar moratorium. And Stephen, I'll let you take this away, but I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yes, so this is the resolution that I prepared after the public hearing that was held last week on the moratorium. Essentially, what I've written here on page 2 is that the board, by adopting this resolution, states that effective immediately upon the adoption of this resolution, the Montezuma County Planning Department is prohibited from accepting applications for utility-scale solar power generation facilities for a period of 6 months from the effective date of this resolution. And I have it expiring last week, 6 months from last week, just because that's when the public meeting was held. Or until appropriate definitions, standards, and conditions can be considered by the Planning Commission for adoption into the Montezuma County Land Use Code, whichever comes first, or unless further renewed or amended by separate action. The Planning and Zoning Department is requested to address solar power generation facilities in the context of a renewable energy master plan and/or appropriate revisions to the Montezuma County Land Use Code. And I also included that the moratorium adopted herein does not apply to utility-scale solar applications that have been submitted prior to the board's consideration of this temporary moratorium at the public hearing on April 8th, or to solar panels or other renewable energy components that are installed on private residential or commercial structures for use within the residential or commercial structure, or those which do not meet the definition of utility-scale power generation, which is 1 megawatt, which I've defined in the resolution. So that's what I've prepared pursuant to the board's comments after the meeting last week.
Okay. Question?
No.
Okay.
You have number, Gerald?
Yeah.
6, yeah.
I move to approve Resolution 6-2025, a resolution of the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners enacting a moratorium of acceptance of new applications for utility-scale solar power generation in Montezuma County, Colorado for 6 months or until appropriate standards are incorporated into the Montezuma County Land Use Code, whichever comes first.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept resolution number 6, 2025, a resolution of the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners enacting a moratorium on acceptance of new applications for utility-scale solar power generation in Montezuma County, Colorado for 6 months or until appropriate standards are incorporated into the Montezuma County Land Use Code, whichever comes first. Discussion.
No.
I would, this is something that is a huge concern to me within this resolution too, to give us enough time specifically to research the nuclear conversation, which I will bring to your all's attention that House Bill 251040 was signed on 3/31/25, the adding of nuclear energy as a clean energy resource that was signed into the state. So that is kind of a big deal that we need to be looking forward, thinking about what we have in our land use code also. So with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving right along to new business. Sheriff, come on down. We'll give you the podium next. Good morning. So this is,
Talk about first.
well, let's talk about them right in order. So can you kind of give us more of an update on the incident that occurred on 491 and M?
I don't know that I can tell you any more than what I already explained back after it happened. I still don't have a copy of the crash report. None of us do, not even the insurance company. The State Patrol handled this crash. There's an internal affairs investigation as by policy anyway that's still ongoing. I don't know that I should really say a whole lot more just in case there's any civil litigation. But the thing is that this is 3 separate crashes. It isn't just one. That's the deal. There's also a video from the second semi that we want to obtain as well, that I know is there, that would show that this other Buick that passed this second semi minutes before, long before this crash, back at the 4 lanes south of there. So after the crash with the deputy in the first semi, this was minutes later that this other northbound vehicle ran into the back of that semi. It didn't happen. They weren't following each other. This is not all one crash. This is 3 separate crashes. And then the second semi came upon, avoided that car that had crashed, and ran into the back of the semi-trailer from the first one. 3 separate crashes. Okay. I can tell you that the deputy was issued a citation for careless driving, and he has paid that. That's what my deputies do. They'll tell you the truth, and they'll be honest. I don't really agree with that. He stopped at the stop sign. It was failed to yield after the stop sign. Don't know. But it is what it is. Won't know until we see everything, and that's pretty much where it's at.
Okay. Is the only question I have then, obviously, you know, I realize you can't talk about a whole lot until you obviously obtain your information and do your investigation internally. But what, I mean, do we have like, and I'm sure you do, I'm not aware of it, but like driver's training, do you like a CIVO class or?
Constantly,
I mean, you guys
annually.
used to do that, used to go down to
Annual
the
driver
old,
training, okay? Annual driver training, you bet. You know, there's other contributing factors that will come out, okay? So just understand, it's not just open and shut, okay? Yeah. Let's give it some time, and we'll go from there. I have received a call from Travelers on the other claim that was filed against the county, but he hasn't received anything either. There's nothing more I can say, and everybody will get everything as soon as it's all done. No doubt about it. It'll be completely transparent. Yep.
Well, I appreciate you saying what you could say today, because it dispels a lot of rumor that's going
Sure.
on out there right now.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of misconception. Yeah,
Yes, there
You
is.
know, people asking me, and I may have told them wrong. I thought it was all one big accident.
No,
So,
no, not true.
3 separate accidents, which is good. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's kind of why we're here. So
That's exactly right.
make
It's
sure that
the truth is the truth.
in
Fact is the
public that
facts.
we're
Yeah.
giving the right information out. So.
And what the speed of those other 3 vehicles were, I don't know. But they should have determined that. I certainly would have as a level 2 technical accident investigator. So I did see it afterwards, but yeah. There's a lot more to it than that. You know, I'm investigating an 88 car pileup on I-25. I can tell you that that wasn't caused by the first vehicle. Okay, that's not how that happens. Yeah.
can you request an additional investigation off the technical side?
I'm going to ask them to.
Okay.
Yeah, they should anyway. But let's get done with our internal affairs investigation. Let's see what it is, because I've talked to several of the troopers. They know. Yeah. So
Okay,
All right. Deputy's fine? Doing good?
he's fine. Yep.
okay.
He's fine. He
Coming
was
along.
in and
Okay.
out of the hospital that night. I was with him there most of the night, and then I went to the scene. I was with the other driver too, that young man. I visited with his family, but yeah. Anyway, that's kind of where it's at. There's going to be a lot more to it, so just hang on. Okay.
All right. Very good. All right, moving on. Let's talk about your fee schedule. You did submit your fee schedule. Travis, would you pull that up?
So the sheriff has a few fees, and some of them are set by state statute, so we'll start with the civil fees first, Sheriff, and then we'll just kind of go through them real quick.
Yeah, all of those that you have there for the civil fees, those are all set by statute. And you can see there's a lot of them, okay? Everything in them's different. I think the only thing that's not on there is the ERPO, which would fall under an emergency protection order, which would be a $35 fee. And I've only had one of those over the past 3 years, so, yeah.
And then now your CCW.
Yeah, the concealed carry, concealed handgun, those are the fees there. The $52.50 is set by statute. That goes to CBI. There is, if you look at probably the next page or beyond, keep going. There you go. So effective July 1st of this year, the new concealed handgun carry permit procedures go into effect. Each one of the instructors have to be verified and certified, and only those can be placed onto the sheriff's office website. They have to supply there's 2 forms that they have to complete, as well as provide a course curriculum, which I've always required anyway. And then they can be placed onto the sheriff's office website. It has to be done here. They can't take it somewhere else and have a card issued here. The law is really kind of a mess. CBI doesn't even understand it, so there you go. The thing is, though, is that the instructor's fee is $100, is what I've set at it. That's the same thing as La Plata County has done. So we're trying to be consistent across the state. The new requirements is that it is an 8-hour course. That certificate obtained is good for 10 years, just the same as it always has been. However, there's a written test that they have to pass with an 80% or better, and 50 rounds being fired with a score of at least 75% or better. Okay, so I don't agree with any of this, but I'm just telling you that's what it is. The sad part is that the card issued is good for 5 years again, but within 6 months of its expiration, they have to attend a renewal, which is a 2-hour class. And it's the same written test, and it's the same shooting. So I've encouraged everybody that needs to get a renewal to buy a few years, that they can get it done before July 1st. There's nothing in the law that says they can't. So that's what I've tried to do with the folks here.
So in those requirements, is there a distance requirement? I
No.
mean, so
No,
you can,
it's up to the instructor.
okay, never mind.
Yeah. It could be a handicap course for all I care,
Yeah.
okay? I don't get involved with that. I just like, so long as that verified instructor says that they've got a certificate, they're good to go, okay? I don't know. I'm telling you, this is really getting stranger by the day anymore. It really
You have
is.
to tell us.
And this gentleman that was up here, they just don't know exactly what I do for everybody when it comes to this stuff.
So this is just an increased fee to 100 then, Steve, this ad? Is that what you're
Is that
saying
for the
here?
instructors?
That's for the
That's
instructor.
just for the
That's a brand new fee.
instructor.
That's a brand new fee. Yeah.
Just for the
And
instructor.
right now, I've got one instructor who didn't want to do the renewal, but he's finally agreed to. And a second instructor will be coming on board. So there'll be at least 2.
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you if there isn't any instructors that want to do the renewal. I guess people here are just kind of out of luck. I don't know. It's really put us into such a box for these folks that are responsible, law-abiding citizens that have the right to have a concealed carry permit. I don't know. So
Can I ask you a little bit different question? Of all the shootings that we've had in the last 5 years, were any of those people did they have concealed carry permits?
no. There you go. There you go. And you don't have to have a concealed carry. You can open carry in this state. You just can't go into a school, okay, or into a bank, okay, or a bar. You're okay. Okay? So, yeah. There you go.
All right. Any other fees?
Record
Travis?
fees?
Think so? Yep.
Records fees, those are pretty much set by statute, and the statutes were attached in there, but we've set those, and it's been working. Most of the records releases are done online now, which really takes care of a lot of things, except for if there's any redactions, photocopies, things like that, then there's charges to those.
The insurance company requests only $5?
Yeah. That's for them providing those CDs. We don't provide them anything.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't
Okay.
provide any of that. Yeah, they have to provide it themselves. Yeah, there's no expense to us at all for that.
So this is just what's being presented right now. I mean, we don't have to vote on this today. We can look at it, take some time to dissect it to make sure that it's gonna comply or it needs to be in line with what our thoughts are. And then we can do it next week or the week later, but this is just kind of what's being presented today. But if they're by statute, they're by statute. There's nothing else that needs to be discussed, so.
Then your sex offender fees?
On the other page before that, the sex offender that we had, yeah, that one. It's got, okay. You'll see, I'm sorry, we skipped over that really fast. On the jail fees, the booking and bonding fees and fingerprints, those were all changed several years ago by law. Ours are down. Booking fee used to be 30, if you recall, years ago. By statute, when they changed everything, it was 10. As far as the cost for daily inmate care and housing, that can be increased by just looking. We're almost done with the cost analysis for 2024, but it's definitely justified to be increased to at least 125, or whatever you want, really.
Well, so my question is the 125 at a minimum covering the cost?
That's a minimum, yeah. That's just a minimum. It can be more than that. It can be whatever you want to set it at.
Yeah, no, I know that a lot of the jail fees around the state are much higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're not providing a Hilton,
Yeah,
and specifically for $125 a night
yeah.
with what we have to provide. So here again, this is just what's being presented. We need to have that conversation. I think it should be at least 125, but I'm not sure if that's really doing what it needs to be done. So that's just my comment on that. The bigger one is the DOC, which still just
That is something.
irritates me beyond no belief.
They're still billed. We still bill them.
Right.
But you know what we get right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought the pay was increased from this 5612.
That was the last one, yeah. It'll be going up again in June, yeah.
Okay.
And I know that there's been some discussion at the state capitol about increasing that to well over $300. So where that goes, I don't know. We're all complaining about it. They're not paying what the state should be paying. But, you know, with daily inmate costs too, the only ones that are paying are those municipalities and Dolores County. And the municipalities are not really booking them into the county jail on municipal charges. They're under state charges. And if there's any way that we could change that, it should be.
And the DOC gets them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next, Travis, or that?
I think the
That's
last
a
one was
recommendation at this point in time.
I just had a comment on that as far as changing those fees. Just practically, I'm not sure what kind of agreements we all have with all the various municipalities, so we'd probably want to look at those and just make sure we haven't, what those contracts say as far as duration, and then the board may be aware there was a pretty high-profile dispute over in La Plata County between Durango and the La Plata County Jail, so to the extent that we'd be able to work together with our municipalities, I would encourage that, because try to avoid a similar situation if we can. And I think it is appropriate to, to ask that those costs be covered. That's within the board's discretion if these are the costs that our county and our jail is incurring for hosting those inmates.
Well, La Plata County and the city of Durango's that situation was completely different. The only ones that anybody that can be housed in that county, in our county jail, there have to be criminal charges, either municipal or state charges. We don't house, we don't hold, we don't have an intoxication room. We don't have any of that stuff. We don't have any mental holds. That's prohibited by law. They have to have criminal charges, and that's where it sits. So it's a different situation. They had an agreement long time ago, apparently, with Durango and La Plata County that got them into that mess. The agreements that we have with the municipalities and Dolores County, it's whatever the Board of County Commissioners sets as the daily inmate fee. That's what it is, whatever that would be. There was never anything that was set, and it can always be increased or decreased, whatever. Yeah.
I don't see the cost decreasing.
What's that?
I said I don't ever see the cost decreasing.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, it's
So-
not going to ever. You know that it won't,
Yeah.
okay? Utilities and everything else that go into it will never decrease. I don't see that'll happen, so, yeah. Okay,
All right.
anything
Well,
else?
thank you, sir. We'll evaluate these, and then we'll check into that for sure, and then we can put it on the agenda, Travis, as we start approving some of the others. But at least you have yours in and out of the way.
Yep.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, next up is our county attorney's report, Mr. Tarnowski.
Commissioners, there were some decisions that were issued on some of our civil cases over the past week. Notably in the Leaf Properties Dollar Store case, the court issued a remand, so that decision will be coming back to the board for basically for the board to issue written findings on that decision. We also got a decision, I tried to pull the order up here while we were talking earlier, in the severance tax case, which was unfavorable to the board. This was a lawsuit about the severance tax fund that the state had essentially reallocated, and a lot of that money had historically come to Montezuma County because that's revenue that was related to resource extraction, basically, and it's based on how much resources are extracted in your county. It was dismissed for a couple of reasons, in part because the court felt that partially it wasn't able to address the money that had already been moved, and then partially because the plaintiffs, the counties, didn't have standing to address the money that wouldn't be continuing to be available in the future, partially due to the powers of the state to spend the money how they want to was really one of the main reasons. But there were a couple different reasons. I haven't heard anything from the other counties that were involved in this. I imagine they're kind of looking through it, trying to figure out what the best way is to move forwards, if there's a path to move forwards, and that would essentially be appeal. But that was definitely an unfavorable decision on that front. Any questions about either of those two issues?
I have none.
Yeah, I had another busy week last week. Let's see, I didn't have any court appearances, but we got a new child protection case, so I've actually got a hearing right after we get out of here. And then I'm continuing to work with Don Haley quite a bit on all these different land use issues we have going on. I also just want to let the board know I'm not going to be around on Thursday or Friday. I'm going to be in Oklahoma for a funeral for one of my wife's relatives, but I'll be covering some hearings I have on Thursday, and I'll be available the whole time I'm out there, but I just won't be here. Any questions about anything else?
No. Safe travels.
Thanks.
All right, Travis.
It was a busy week, but nothing spectacular. Getting some budget requests for 2026, particularly the district attorney's office. Obviously, our guardrail down on County Road H was pretty much destroyed. Thanks to our county attorney for following up on that. Unfortunately, the individual has no insurance, so we're gonna try to maneuver that and see how we can get that replaced. And then just worked on a lot of RFPs and some agreements, and making sure that we got contracts in place for different entities that do business with the county. That's about it, gentlemen.
Oh, could I add one thing? You know, I've been doing a lot of outreach in general, trying to advertise our assistant county attorney position, but also generally about the practice of law in our part of the state. So I wanted to let the board know I'll be at the middle school career fair later today as well. Very forward thinking on that front. So who knows, maybe in 20 years we'll have someone wanting to be working here in the legal field in the county.
All right, thank you. Ms. Purcell, do you have
Hopefully
any?
you don't see any clients.
All right. Commissioner Lindsay.
Yes. I did go to city council last Tuesday. They renewed some liquor license and hotel and restaurant liquor licenses. Took some public participation. They did approve a condominium plat for the Sligo Plaza condominium located at, there's a legal description here, but it's back over there around Edith Street and Sligo Street. They did approve a conditional use permit and site plan property for 1050 Lebanon Road, which is the wood product that was going in out there. And there was, that took quite a long time. Council take input on that. And there's coming up an event next year, I believe, and Cortez will celebrate its 140th anniversary. So I looked it up, and Cortez is a little bit older than Montezuma County. So they're looking, they did appoint someone to that, and they approved some contracts for some different organizations, and that's about the size of it. And I took some letters and phone calls and visited with some people, and right now, that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Copenhaver.
Yeah, last week I attended the Mancus Town meeting, and I also had a meeting in Durango for Southwest Water Conservation Board and MVI last Tuesday afternoon too. At the Southwest Board meeting, we still having a lot of discussion on where the Colorado River negotiations are going. The administration called the commissioners from each of the 7 states back to DC and told them they had to get something worked out to quit messing around. So it's basically what they were told. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they can get something worked out rather than having the Bureau of Reclamation just make this decision as far as how they're going to run it. The Bureau of Reclamation does have the authority to be basically the water cop for the lower basin states. Doesn't really have that ability in the upper basin states, as I understand the way the law is. So we'll see what gets worked out, hopefully in the next, they have to do something here within the next month, 6 weeks, according to their program. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you. I had a super busy week too. I serve on quite a few different boards. Wednesday was a travel day to Golden, Colorado, where I had a Thursday meeting with the Fire Commission. One of the biggest takeaways there is that the new WUI code, statewide WUI code, once the state adopts it, which will be by June 30th, they had originally given the counties and municipalities 90 days to then accept and adopt that after that. They've now extended that because they realize that that 90 days is really not adequate. So that's kind of a pretty big deal. And the other thing too is there's nothing punitive on the other side of it as far as the adoption of it. So it does give us, there is some breathing room, and that was probably the biggest takeaway for that. The insurance companies still continue to work on what they can and cannot do to stay in the state of Colorado. But again, like I've said, it's really not wildfire that's hurting the state, it's the hail damage, are specifically why most of them are leaving the state of Colorado, because there's no return on investment. So the insurance conversations are still a big deal, and the hardening of homes in the WUI. But like I said, if you look at that map, everything in the western part of the state is in a WUI. So that was Thursday. Friday, then I went to CCI, finished up our steering committee meetings on Friday. One of the biggest takeaways there is we, as the Public Lands Committee, had drafted a letter from CCI that we will send to Senator Hickenlooper, so that we hopefully can get the reauthorization of the SRS funding to take place, which is Secure Rural Schools. And that was signed by the chairman of the Public Land Steering Committee, which was Commissioner McFall from Fremont County, and it was voted on at CCI. And then it was a late, miserable trying to find a flight home, but I actually did get home super late Friday night. Saturday, then I went to the Housing Authority. Great news there. We did fill the last position for the public housing employee that's missing. They will all be starting today. And we also did enter into an agreement with the Organizational Leadership Edge. TOLL is the acronym for it, to help us with the permanent ED recruitment. So we do have a contract with them, and they also have an interim ED that will be coming on board for us next Monday. So super excited about that. We have all those positions full and going forward, and I can tell you, I think we have some rock stars that we have interviewed. So things are progressing nicely there, and it'll be just a little longer, but things are progressing nicely. I do apologize for my tardiness, or actually not tardiness, but absence from yesterday. I just had some other things in Utah that I couldn't get back here for. And with that.
You want to address this gentleman's
Oh,
concerns?
sorry. Yes, sir, I do. Mr. Durvan? So the AC/DC lanes, if I remember right, and I don't see the planning department in here, but you can get with those. The original proposal that we do have lanes there. They're just not built yet for CDOT. So there are going to be turning lanes on that westerly side of that highway. So
West side, how about the
it's the west side.
Wouldn't there be a turn lane into?
I can't answer that because there will be. There will be a turn lane. So if you look at the AC/DC lanes for the getting off, there will also be a turn lane that turns left in there also. So if you look at that map of those proposals, that will be on there, and they do have them in the planning office. They should have them in the planning office.
You guys are up on it, because I hate to say it, don't be a smart engineer to figure out one out.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't even figure out how to put the street light at Love's in G.
Yeah.
They have a hard time engineering
So
that.
we will take it back also to the conversation with CDOT just to follow up on it. But there are plans for those lanes that are going in place down there. So you bet.
Turn them upside down,
We don't need it all going up to I-25.
Well, here again, that goes into the state
Yeah.
budgets, and CDOT was cut again this year because the state budget is in turmoil.
I'm
So-
like with that guy, maybe we should succeed to, I don't like New Mexico that much, but maybe we should become New Mexico.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn this April 15th, 2025 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.